we've officially started. I have a question for everybody.
Okay.
I would like for you to try and answer this question before I finish asking the question.
Okay.
Okay? If you could be an animal for a day, what would it be?
Okay. Who's going first?
No, you're too late. You should have gone.
Oh, I should have answered it already. Dolphin.
Dolphin. Diane?
I would be a cat.
What color cat? It's important.
What kind of cat? Oh, it's the house cat.
I would be a house cat too, but I would be a pitch black house cat so that I could hide in the shadows.
Any cat can hide in the shadows. Doesn't matter what color they are. They're just so good at hiding.
Not my cat.
Well, just because your cat's just
I like
so
that
comfortable.
they shift and move.
Yeah. Why would you choose a house cat?
So I would be a house cat because they can get through a lot of different things, like in and out. And so you can come and go without being seen. And sometimes that just seems like a really nice thing to be able to do. Just kind of slither out the back door without anybody really noticing.
Tough questions. Honest answers. Oh, the messy truth. Your perspectives. Let's begin. Welcome to Kaleidoscope. Hi, I'm basically what happens when a sci-fi glitch gains consciousness, discovers feelings, and decides to start a podcast. Welcome to Kaleidoscope, where conversations are real, the guests are fascinating, and absolutely nothing is approved by the corporate PR team.
Not yet.
Not yet. Today, I'm joined by Luigi.
Hello, I'm Luigi, and I want to believe.
And Diane Reiser, spiritual advisor, medium, intuitive empath, and owner of Oak and Tusk Guidance. Welcome, Diane.
I'm Diane Reiser, and I crave chocolate often.
Amazing. Diane, you have a perspective, an opinion to share with us today.
Yeah. So I actually came with a different perspective, but this month and the last few weeks, the word why has been coming to me immensely, and the power of why. If you think about what that word can do for you, it's very powerful. Meaning, if you don't understand something, why gets you an answer. If someone isn't giving you enough information and you need more, but they don't want to give it to you, the question of why can't I have that starts drilling into what's going on. If you talk about like therapy, a lot of therapists will have you do why to get to the root of causes. And I do that also when I work with my spiritual team and with my clients, is why is that happening? So the word why, and I used to work for a German company years ago, and my boss told me, because I was very frustrated with not getting things done, people not giving me answers. And he said, start asking the word why. When people cannot answer the word why, that's a red flag, because authentic people and authentic situations will always have an answer.
I like it. That's a good take. I know Ruby and I are thinking of the same person when we're thinking of the why question. There's someone we know in our lives.
Because of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We could not ask why. Or we could, but we could never get an answer. And, you know, when you say they're being authentic and talking about authenticity, wow. It's the nail on the head. Spooky.
I've never met someone so disingenuous in my life. But you know what? She helped me discover my authenticity.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, as through my work and as I continue and grow, can see patterns, and you start to see like, oh, when people don't do this in general, it means this in general. it might not be the exact truth, but it gives you enough red flag when you start seeing the similar things, right? That you go, oh, okay, that's that type of situation. But also, people come to us as they need to, as we need them to bring change to our lives or highlight something in our lives. So whenever I go through hard times, and I'm not sure what's going to happen, I start asking why. And I ask my higher self, I start reading into it. But if you allow, you can pretty much get the answer because we all know ourselves pretty well. It's just that our ego sometimes like doesn't like what we know. And so
Yeah,
if we're
I agree with
I
that.
feel like you can do a lot of why questions and you'll back yourself right into the answer.
Why do you think our egos get in the way?
That's a good question. Asking why. I think it's just how we're raised. Because if you think of a kid, kids don't really have egos. They don't have problems asking questions. They don't typically have issues with dressing silly or being silly, right?
Yeah.
But when you start getting in school, we start getting locked into little boxes, right? You can't do this for this reason. You can't, all the things. And so all of that changes us and
You
creates
you
us.
remember that you're talking to two teachers, right?
But it's true
It's
because
true.
you are also, right? Because you have to work
Yeah,
within a confinement. You can't
absolutely.
do probably what you would really like to do to teach.
Yes. Yeah. And it sounds negative. That
It's not.
like it kind of seems like we're, repressing kids or whatever. But it's I don't know, it's like I hate to admit it. Like it's a necessary evil. Like order is necessary.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. But it does take, it's a give and take though, right? And so
yeah.
it is necessary. I mean, I'm one of six kids, and so six kids, you got to keep them in line. There has to be some
Mhm.
boundaries.
Yeah.
So, but that is why, I mean, it does, if you're not, and the United States, also remember with our education system has really, really gotten really bad over since even I was a child. So, and they've gotten really restrictive in the way they teach them creativity and dig into those things. So I think depending on your environment, but it really is, you have to start growing up to be a big person and society requires certain things.
Yeah.
I'm not being
I I'm gonna play devil's advocate in this because I don't like the way that schools are set up because I think that I think that we've been conditioned to think that the structure is so important. I can concur. Some level of structure is required for the sanity of all. But I think that the way that classes have been set up and the way that um, kids are divided and the way that the school system is divided is too structured. It's been over scaffolded because it's set up like a factory to create,
yes.
to package little sausages to go into the workforce and be all exactly the same little sausage and just do their work. Yeah.
Okay.
I saw this with
I
my own
hear what
kids
you're
when I
saying.
had, well, and I can give you an example because I have two sons, and
Uh-huh.
one is very outgoing and very much into the social scene, and the other one is an introvert, but he's very creative and
Mm.
sensitive.
Uh-huh.
One can work in that environment, one is affected by that environment severely. So, um, I believe that just as humans, we're all different, and so we have different needs. And
Yeah.
fortunately, with the school systems, you can't like set up a different need for each child, really. It's not efficient, probably. So, like when I did homeschooling, I was able to do that. So I was able to teach one way with one child and just basically give the books and let the other one figure it out because that's what he liked to do. And then come to me with questions because that's his style. And both of them were
Right.
extremely successful, but in their own way. So, but that's having to pull them out of the system. But I do think structure is what causes us to lose some of that looseness.
Yeah. And I'd say education does try to account for that dynamic. Like,
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah. I think that all teachers are somewhat aware of it, even if a teacher becomes jaded and stringently sticks to all structures. In a way, it's because they've been frustrated by trying to be.
mhm.
It's the reason why,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
if you
Bring it
think
back.
about it, going back up, right? So let's go to that jaded person. Why are they jaded? Probably because they didn't get to be the creative teacher and all the things that they really set out to be at one point. And little by little by little, those little things are taken away from them. And so, yeah, and then by the time 20 years comes around, Jesus, can you imagine? Probably can. And so that there's a reason why for everything.
True story. I have another question though. When you were telling your story initially, you said you were asking your higher self. Do you differentiate between those two? Like, what's the other self? If one is higher, is the other one lower? Or
Mhm. So my perspective is one's more ego based and one's more spiritual based. So ego based is kind of grounded here and today, like what's going on around me. And I mean, ego doesn't mean bad. So ego, as I define it, is our human side. The one that, like, our human side is the one that doesn't want anybody to see us look in a certain way, or we, even if we don't want to hurt somebody's feelings and we don't say things, that's an ego, because our ego is stopping us from being free, really. It's just kind of this, what I call kind of the human side. When I talk about my higher self, I connect to her a lot more when I do, like, and a lot of people, all my clients, I'll tell them to do this when you do what I call free writing. If you when you journal, just if you have a question, I might write a question like, how do I feel today? And I'll just start writing, and it might be silly at first, but then over time, your mind will start to flow and you'll start getting all these answers. Or do you ever notice, like, you think about something and all of a sudden you might, like, you feel like it's a daydream, but you're really, like, getting all kinds of, like, wow, how do I, like, these are really good ideas, or really creative ideas out of nowhere and stuff. That's our higher self. That's our intuition, like, in that gut feeling you get.
Yeah. Okay. So do you think the higher self is objectively more offensive? Because you said our ego stops us from doing things. And that makes me think of myself lately. Rather, the people who know me probably know me as someone who will tell people what they don't want to hear. Ruby, can you agree? Or do you disagree? What do you think?
I remember meeting you.
I don't want to toot my own horn.
No.
So,
The second day of me meeting Luigi, I walked in to what would be my classroom and I said, listen, I don't know what your beef is with me.
oh yeah.
Like, I haven't done anything to deserve whatever you're throwing my way.
You remember that? Ruby, I'm sorry. That was very bad. I still think about that too to this day. This is the perfect opportunity to apologize to Ruby for that.
No apology needed.
But if we ask why, my response for why was because I was promised I would not have to change my classroom. And
by someone very disingenuous, who we've spoken already
and
about.
Ruby didn't know the rules. Yeah. And so I was asking Ruby to just wait until we got a real direct answer. Like, I had no problem changing, but I wanted to know for sure. But yeah. But I have to say, to Ruby's credit, such a positive person, and like, you did not give up on just being nice to me.
Yeah.
And it worked. Look at us now.
Started a podcast together.
I have found over the years that some of the people I have the biggest rub with at first can be my biggest heroes in some ways, and even my like best coworkers. There's some of the worst people that I've actually gone and like to go to work, and people go, "Don't work for them," or "Stay away from them." The thems end up being my favorites because they're like you, Luigi. They say what they mean what they say, and they're authentic.
But I have to add, like, you said what you felt, but you didn't say anything malicious.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I don't remember it exactly, but
And I think that that's the thing that made everything okay. Because it was like, okay, we're both obviously under stress. And
yeah, that's true.
And it with it in different ways. But yeah, back to the question: were you getting in touch with your higher self in that situation?
Well, because I always take that kind of person as being bad. So now, Diane's talking about the higher self. And so I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'm not actually bad, but maybe there's someone more sinister trying to control me and making me believe
No,
this
no,
idea
don't
of
like that.
being direct.
He's trying to blame
Telling
it.
people how it is bad. But to me, the higher self then, because it ignores ego, it sounds more offensive, or it is more offensive. Or maybe it's that people don't know how to like accept and face the things they do that perhaps aren't good.
That's okay. So that's your ego that doesn't want to face the stuff. And that's what I'm saying. Like, do you know when you meet someone, or you know how you meet someone and you don't know why they're being edgy and weird? And like, what's your problem? Like, but if you
Right.
look behind it, it's really because their ego knows, they themselves know, like they may be being dishonest,
Mhm.
and their higher self makes it really uncomfortable because your higher self, your conscience, is like, you're lying, right? Like, and so that makes us edgy, right? Like when we carry around things that we haven't gotten out of us yet, or we even, all of us have told an untruth at some point in our lives. And typically authentic people who really like don't like to be that way will feel it. Like you really like, and you'll do something about that, right?
Yeah.
Inauthentic people just ignore that, and so they ride on their ego.
Yeah. This is so poignant for us, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
It
and
makes
I
a
will
lot of
tell you
sense.
that's sort of how I so that's me picking up energy probably, because I pick up, like, before I meet with my clients, I'll often pick up like their stuff. I I don't necessarily know it. I'll just kind of make notes. So I'm probably picking up on some of your stuff, and it just happens. Universe wants me to talk about it, maybe, or I'm just picking it up and giving it back to you.
So I have two questions now. The first one is related to ego and the higher self. Now, I've been speaking to my therapist a lot. She is hyper excited about this episode.
Oh,
We've been speaking about it for 3 weeks now. Yeah, it's come up in every session if I remember. Anyway, the bottom line is, I'm transgender. So what is, from your perspective, what is the difference between like ego and where does the higher self, and how do those two come together? Because obviously, like from my discussions with my therapist, my higher self must be a she, right? She's there. And the ego has been molded by society in many ways. And that's why I was presenting as the wrong gender for 35 years. Even though deep within myself, I knew that that's not what I was or wanted to be.
okay. So just so happens that I won't use names, but I have a client who has had someone in their lives that was transgender, and we worked through this. And they've passed. Their spouse passed, and so we connect to them. And when we connect, what's really interesting, so the first time I did a reading, I did not know that her spouse was transgender. I had no idea. But I kept picking up on two people and I saw it as a V. So I kept feeling two energies, but they were connected like at a root like this. And I didn't understand. And so I kept feeling this female, I kept feeling this male. So we go through it a little bit, and it's usually about halfway through where I'll do like, okay, here's a bunch of information now. How does this make sense? And then we kind of work through it. And she said, my spouse was transgender. And so, and that was the story. So now when we work together, I will have one or the other or both of them show up and because sometimes spirit will come to me like a week or so before my client, and I will pick up one or the other of them or both, like I said. And they are two separate spirits. And so
Okay.
we've kind of, because nobody really knows. And my client is also in the psychiatric type world, and so she's in the counseling type world. And so we kind of walked through it with breaking down, asking a lot of questions of spirit. It's a process. It feels like what happened is, if I can remember correctly, we had two souls who were connected to each other who wanted to come through. And it was almost like one beat the other. But they were both there. And it's a very interesting, because I personally, to be honest, I think it may be different for everyone.
Yeah.
Because we're all different as like a fingerprint, right? And we all have, there's so many different things when I do readings that come through that show me every single time that there is no right or wrong answers. Like things are as they are. And so I don't know if I'm really answering your question, but I'm trying to give you like kind of an understanding of it. I don't know, to be honest, because everything is always different with every situation, every client.
I think you answered my question perfectly.
Oh,
I have
good.
no notes.
Okay.
I did have another question that I've forgotten completely.
It was too.
That your answer was too good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I hope it helps you. I mean, it was. I'm going to be honest with that situation was my very first experience in working with transgender anyone.
Yeah.
And and I didn't work with them on this side. I worked with them on that side. And so it's the most honorable. I've never felt more honorable or special or seen, not because it's about me, but it was such an honor to be able to meet these people and for them to teach me so much, and they continue to do so. And so I'm glad you asked that question and gave me an opportunity to talk about them, because they are very important in my life today, because she's still a client. She's also becoming kind of a friend, and to have the honor of meeting them and understanding their story and challenges is truly an honor to do that. So thank you for asking that.
Thank you for answering in such sincerity and depth, for sure. I think that one of the things missing right now, especially in American media, is just perspective and humanization of us. Because there's so much demonization. It's crazy.
I'm sorry. And I want to just say that. I want to put this out there because I want you to know. No, it's important that it be said. I want you to understand, and I know you do, but I want you to hear it There's so many of us who love you guys. There really
Oh,
is.
yeah.
And then we're all rooting and we're stuck. It's like, but as a intuitive and stuff, I absolutely cannot like engage in any of the news and stuff because it eats me up. Like
That
I
has
feel
to be a
all the
disaster.
stuff.
Yeah.
And when I lived in Florida, it was even worse. Like because I lived in what you're seeing happening in America was actually happening in Florida starting in about, well, it's been going on, but it really amped up in 2016, which is
Okay.
about the time I moved there. And so the hatred and angst and stuff that's going on in the country is really what Florida was about. And it took me down. Like the energy in Florida's like what I found is I can even feel the energy of the founders. And so there's so much hate in the founders of Florida. I could feel it. I used to do a readings at the shop, and every time I went, I could feel like it was, I would cry. I had to leave, I had to quit working at that shop because it was so, the energy just felt very repressive, oppressive. And I learned through doing some research that building was directly across the street from railroad tracks. Well, guess what? That was a slave trading location.
Yeah.
I felt all of that. Ugh, hate. And it's still in the ground. I mean, it's still energetically in the state. It's just where it is. So I I want to just say on behalf of all of us good Americans who love everyone, I am so sorry that that's spreading around the world. But I
You
will
guys
also
really are the
say,
majority. Anyway.
but I will also say, I want to put this out there because I've seen this since 19. Doing readings with people, sometimes what comes up is kind of world views. Sometimes I'll start getting downloads of what's kind of going on. I want you guys to know the world is evolving and it's evolving to an amazing place. But in order to get there, it's like cleaning a house, right? It looks like shit before it looks beautiful. So, America is a young country and it has to go through what other established older countries have had to go through to get good things established and take care of their people. And talk about egos, right? We were established
Yeah.
by egomaniacs. So our
It's
founding fathers were gross. It takes time to detox that, and it takes time for people, human beings, to really see what um, they have to be hit in the face sometimes with it and what's happening in my perspective, and I've been watching it. We're going through this evolution so people start to really understand that they're human and they start to see each other as human again, and we start to get to the good stuff. But nobody knows good unless they know bad. And so,
Yeah.
unfortunately, what is happening, I am seeing though, unfortunately, there's going to be bad. But the people who, what I'm seeing, people who have good intentions and are trying to do good in this world and give out good energy and uplift others, it's a weird vibe. They're in a totally different timeline. They're things are going well. Things are like maybe they're going through difficult shifts, but yet they're coming out of it and they're seeing good things happen. And so what is going on is I feel like the heavy energy is just going to be getting flushed and it has to be. We have it all over the world. And so all of that has to get taken care of at some point. And so I feel like as ugly as all this is, it's going to be amazing on the other side. And when I say other side, I always keep hearing like 2, 3 years. So yeah, it's going to be difficult, but we will get through this. And US will be loved again, and we will give love again, better than ever.
that
My
sounds
perspective.
promising.
Sorry, I get
Yeah.
rolling on energies.
Hey, I believe it.
Yeah. 2 to 3 years. I'm excited. You have a question?
I do. Well, I have a number of questions. I'm just thinking which one's better to lead into. I think both can go off on tangents, so I'll just think about this. So Diane, before you mentioned really briefly, just like trusting your gut. And this is something people hear all the time. And I think a lot of people want to trust their gut. I would love to be so in tune with myself that I would know how to listen to my gut. So I guess my question is, how can you trust your gut, and how do you not confuse it for your ego? This is a skill I would like to have.
So in all that you said and I said, is the word trust, right?
Yeah.
Trust is the big word. So the way I work with my clients on doing this, it's sort of it's a story. How do I must describe it? Because it's kind of a big question, actually. But the way I think I'll describe it as I work with my clients so that I can give you a little understanding of how it might work that way. So with a client, what I'll do is in teaching them to hear and understand themselves is they will come to me, they keep their journals, and we'll talk about the things that they were struggling with. And then we'll lean in on the spiritual energy side. And I will ask them how they intuitively felt about something. And this is why I can say ego gets in the way, because everything I'm saying is not stuff I made up. It's all experienced, and it's always been a wow factor. Even like me, I'm like, wow. So what happens is I'll start asking the questions about but how do you really feel? And in a safe place, people will start to talk about that. And then they realize, oh, I led with my ego, fear, and I can see that I was hearing that was true. Because what will happen, Luigi? It's hard to tell and explain it. It's like, well, what happens? I will feel the energy, and I'll see your story, and I'll see what's really the case. And so, nobody can bullshit me. You can't sit and lie to me. So because I can see it, I can feel it. It's very uncomfortable. So I will call people out because I have to move the energy. So that's how I do it, is I can feel what the story is. I can see it, maybe not exact, but I can get the points. And then I'll say, this is it. And then usually they'll admit, yeah, I did think that it was coming through, or I did hear that. And okay, next time. So then I'll say, okay, next time, whenever you feel this way, think about how your body was feeling. And when you get that sensation, that's a red flag. And they go, oh, okay. So then the next time, because you always have these little things with people that might hit you in the top of the gut, that feeling where, here's a big one. Here's a big one. The feeling of when somebody's telling you something and you almost feel the best way I can say it is trapped, but at the top of your guts, you almost you want to scream, no, or you're that's not true, or this weird, it's hard to describe. That is the red flag going, something's off, or you do need to speak up. You're right, because every time I've ignored it, and I'm sure, and this is what I tell my clients, anytime something happens where you knew better, damn, I knew that was going to happen, go back and write about it, or look at your notes and think about, where did I miss that? So that next time you don't. And you will. We're all human. It's going to happen. But it does help the trust factor is huge. And I'll tell you, earlier this year, my husband was so I've left corporate. And so this is the work I do, but we live on two incomes. And he had to leave his job for another job, fell through, so he was unemployed for 6 months. That's when I had to lean heavier than ever into faith and trusting universe that everything's going to work out, and trusting my intuition. And that's what that's what we're getting, right? And so every day I would write about my fears. And as I wrote, I would ask for guidance. I would just ask, and things would just start coming through. Now, at first, for me, I know I can trust it. But at the beginning, you don't know that. So all you can do is kind of keep a record so you can see patterns, and patterns tell stories. Does that help?
Yeah, you said a lot of interesting things that
it comes out.
So no, that's okay. One thing I think about when I think of trusting your gut. For me, I guess my problem or my mistake is always assuming the trusting your gut thing is positive in as much as your gut is supposed to feel a certain way and in like a good way. And that's how you know the answer. Never, if your gut's feeling a bad way, that can also be an indication of, let's say, not to do something.
Yeah. It's a huge, it's
For me, it's always been if the gut, if it feels bad, you know.
Well, see,
Something's off.
I go the other way. When I feel bad as like a person who's anxious, I'm neurotic, you know that. So when I'm always anxious, I don't think it's my gut. I think, oh, I'm just anxious. It's because I'm anxious. And it's not my gut. I can't trust my gut because I'm anxious.
Right. You're right, but you're anxious for a reason.
Yeah, well, that's true.
So then you do the writing, right? You write down all that thing. So, and you're anxious because you're carrying it all up in here. And there's a reason you're anxious, but in this discussion, if you carry everything in your brain, think about how hard your brain is constantly because you're removing all that thoughts in your brain all the time. How exhausting. No wonder you're anxious. So if you write it down, I mean, trust me, I've got clients that are like, Ian, tell me to journal damn straight. Yep.
Yeah.
I have something to say on this.
I know journaling's good, but I still struggle with doing it.
No,
I did.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I did, but it's a process.
I still have mild dyslexia, but you've watched me write. I haven't made a single mistake where I had to erase something.
I didn't.
And it used to happen like every second or third word because I was so anxious because all of my mental like bandwidth. Oh, there's a clicking sound.
I hear it, but don't worry about it.
Okay. Doesn't matter. All of my mental bandwidth was being taken by performing the male gender. I was constantly anxious. I was constantly making spelling errors. I've wanted to start a podcast since I knew what podcasts were. And I've never been able to. Come out as transgender, 1 month later, boom, podcast.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. When you release the energy, when you like be free, be you, that's the authentic thing. That's why authenticity is so important. And that's why I can feel, because I can feel people's inauthenticity if they're lying and stuff, because it's an energy that you have to actually work to keep. You don't have to work to be authentic, to be real, right? So if you're working hard, you have all that kind of if you think science, right? And we're made moleculars, like we're all these like little molecular pieces, right? And so it's energy and it's all vibrating. And the only difference, if you think about spirit versus us, is that we're vibrating more heavier because we're more compact. So if that's a vibrational thing and these thoughts are vibrations, if you're carrying around all these heavy thoughts, then you're going to be anxious because and I don't even know spiritually if that would be the word. Anxiety is it's more just like you're working so hard to keep it all in.
Yeah, I think it's like when we try to, let's really make it really reductionist. When you try to control your future and you have like a perfectionist tendency, then you get a lot of anxiety because you have expectations of how you want things to be. And sometimes you can't have both and you have to make a choice. And it sucks because you're not going to get what you want exactly. And that's what causes anxiety.
Is this reflection?
What do you mean, is this reflection?
Self-reflection.
Oh, I'm just talking, yeah, it could be. I'm totally, again, super neurotic. You know that. I'm always overthinking things. I don't know if you've seen the picture on my fridge. It's literally a little cat and it says overthinking. My friend got it for me as a joke.
I don't think it was a joke.
Well, no, of course it's not a joke. It's true. But
What if you
Yeah,
played the
but
what if
But
game?
it is endearing.
what if I played the what if game? I mean, I could play it, sure. I know, I
Well, no,
think I know
I'm
what you're
saying
talking about.
I wrote like in my Substack, I had this whole thing about, and I went through it on my podcast. The what if can get you out of the anxiety, right? So your anxiety is your worst case scenarios, really, is what we usually do. Like we're worrying about the worst
Yeah,
case, right? So then the
right.
question
Yeah,
is, so what if that happens? What's my
yeah,
backup plan? Or
yeah,
what's really going to happen? Well, I won't be able to do that for 2 weeks or whatever it is, right? Okay,
yeah,
well, then
yeah,
can I live with that? Yeah, I can live with that. Actually, that's not so scary. It's just you have so many of them in your brain. But if you write them down and you go, what if, you'll start to see some things. It's an amazing why and what if are my two like favorite kind of terms. It's words. It's just sort of one of those things that seem to help. Helps you
yeah,
break it down.
yeah. And I think too, just to add to the gut thing, you said something also, I think, very insightful. I never really thought about. You said we have trouble trusting our gut because, like, we're not in a safe place. So to me, that's really interesting because if you're never in a safe place, how can you ever learn to really, listen to your gut and be attuned? Because you can't remove yourself from that safe place, or that place that isn't safe, rather. Like you might just be stuck
So,
there. That just might be your circumstances.
okay, when I talk safe place, that's where we are at right now. And
Okay.
maybe not physical. It, well, it kind of is, but it's more
Okay.
about safe place to talk it through or that sort of thing. So, like with my
Yeah.
clients, so for whatever reason, I'm not against therapy. I think therapy is an amazing thing. I go through it, but spiritual advisors
Well,
have a different role. And so, for whatever reason, I will have people come to me to break through some blocks or find blocks that they are struggling to explain to their therapist because I can pick up on that energy. And so then I can almost tell you like what it is that you're struggling with because I can see the block. You can't because your head's spinning so fast about all the things.
yeah.
And so in a safe place, I mean, which is what we provide, then we can talk about those things and then you go, okay. And then you might go back to your therapist and say, these are what I'm finding in my blocks. Now what's my strategies to work through those?
Mhm.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it makes perfect sense.
Okay. Sorry, a lot of what I say is both experience, but then I'm also feeling energy. And so I will go. Sometimes it'll just blah, 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 blah.
I think when we spoke before on the phone, I mentioned this book called Holy Language, Power of Holy Language. It's not a Christian. It sounds a religious book, but it's not. It's exactly about this spirituality, connecting with your higher self, and understanding it. Like the concept of Ubuntu really comes into. Ubuntu is like the African philosophy. I am because of who we are.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Kind of deal.
Yeah. And I will say, and I think Ruby, you and I touched on that too when we talked the first time, is there is a difference between religion and spirituality.
Yeah.
So religion is a man thing. That's a
Hmm.
man-made thing, a
I think
human-made
so too.
thing. Well, it is. And then because it's written by humans, yes, guided, understood, but it's still been created and written by man, right? And so we can translate wrong. So, and there's like ego driven behind the creation of these things. And I'll tell you the first time, and I'm not against religion as long as it's for the greater good and taking care of people and all the things. However,
Hmm.
what I experienced, my personality always ends up putting me in some sort of a leadership position. And so when I would go to churches, somehow I'd end up in the administrative team. And in order to become part of this one church's administrative team, I had to go through this, like how we became this religion class. And what I found out was, well, we're this religion because the founder of the religion didn't like what that religion did. It's so he took off and started this religion. And that's when it went to me like, oh, so this isn't even like, this isn't godly, this is humanly. This is, you guys made this. And so anytime you're controlling people with something, it is not godly, spiritually, universal, higher power. It's human. And so spirituality is what is uplifting, light, teaches us things, like gets us connected to being our true selves. It feels good when and I have gone to a church where the pastor was extremely spiritual, and when I left, I felt lifted. And I could get through my week because of her messaging. But I've also been to a lot of churches where you are damned if you don't do this, and you're hell and brimstone and all the bullshit. That's fear control. That is not spiritual. So that's why I wanted to clarify the difference, because religion can be spiritual, but spirituality is not religious.
Yeah. I think that both Luigi and I are very, very aware of that.
Yeah. Any
you have another question?
Yeah, I can go on.
Because I think we have to wrap up this part of the podcast. Otherwise, we're going to go for 3 hours. You can ask one more question.
Okay. So you mentioned you were in, I don't know where it was. Somewhere, was it in Florida? Anyway, there was a slave trading ground, and you sensed the like energy, the vibration. So I actually wanted to ask you about the concept of everything having a resonance. So, we can interpret this in a few ways. In like the physical or scientific sense, it's certain frequencies can cause vibrations in objects. But then in like a metaphysical or philosophical sense, it's the idea that, again, everything has a resonance and like a kind of vibrational frequency. My one friend really like believes in this. Him and his wife went to Egypt, and they went into just a random store, I guess wherever all the tourists go. And they had him and his wife hold a Blue Lotus. I think that's what he told me it was. And they just said, just hold it and just wait. And and he asked both of them, do you feel anything? And his wife, she said, oh, no, I don't feel anything. And he's still holding it. And then the shopkeeper started to tell them both, like, it should feel like there are little ants going up your arm and like whatever he feels. And then my friend so tells me the story, like his face was like white as a sheet because like he couldn't believe what the shopkeeper was telling was happening to him. And all his wife was thinking was, I'm dead inside because I couldn't feel whatever this flower was doing to me. And he said, and I heard the story and I kind of went, how interesting. But he said, no, everything has a resonance. I like the idea and I want to believe that. But like, I don't know. What does that mean to have, if everything has resonance?
Well, yeah.
And how does it affect us?
Go to science. Go to science. That's it. It's science. We may be talking spiritual stuff, but spirituality is just really connecting with energy and a higher source and believing in something higher, bigger than you, right? But when with energy, that's what we're talking about. And so it is exactly that. What it is, I mean, because this isn't truly solid. If we break it way down, right? It's the same thing. Absolutely, vibrations affecting. And what I say in terms of, and I laughed when you said she feels like she might be dead inside. No. She has a whole lot going on, and she probably wasn't connecting to the idea the same, where he might have been looking at it like, yeah, I really want to do this. And so he opened his energy. He allowed. We can block it too, because I can literally like have someone sit in front of me and say they want a reading, but I can't get anything. And the reason I can't is because they don't really want to know, and they'll admit that. Like, well, I didn't really want to hear what you had to say. I just came because I thought I did. Well, I can't work with you because you're blocking my energy. I can't pick anything up. So it's energy.
Do you think
go to
when they,
science.
yeah, do you think when they say things like that, they're just trying to like disqualify the experience because they couldn't like get a good reading? So kind of like cognitive dissonance, like, oh, I didn't want it anyway, just to make themselves feel better
Yeah, it is.
because they were so
It's an
closed
ego
off.
thing. It's totally, yeah,
Yeah.
because they're afraid of what's to say. I've had, off the top of my head, I know of 2 or 3 clients that did that to me. And because I provided a safe space by just allowing them to be that way for a few minutes and just, so what are you here for? Kind of just that safe place. They finally would admit that, well, I was sort of afraid. I went to this
Yeah.
person or that kind of service and I was told to try this. I didn't know what you were going to tell me. I've heard some horror stories about people will be told that you have dark entities attached to you and all of these things. And so it's scary for people. But again, that's not spirituality. That's ego driven, excuse my French, bullshit. And I'll challenge anybody to that. I do not believe in I believe in dark, heavy thoughts that come to mind, but I do not believe that an entity can attach to you and be there. I've had many a client tell me that, and in the end, I'll find out through doing energy reading that what they feared was somebody coming after them was actually maybe an uncle, like who's passed, great 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 uncle, who's coming to warn you about something, that they're actually your guardian angel. They're watching over you and they're warning you. And in the interest of time, I won't go through the whole story, but I got the whole story and I told the woman and she went, oh my God, that answers all the questions of what was going on in my house. And it was because her husband was up to no good. And every time he was up to no good, Uncle so-and-so would come shaking up something, turning off the lights, whatever it was to get her attention. So to kind of go back to what you were asking, it is all vibration. It's all energy. And she probably was
Just to clarify, so there's no such, you don't believe there are entities, it's just energy, and people are trying to understand it, so they kind of make it tangible and they call it an entity because that's something you can visualize more than something so abstract like energy.
Yeah, I think so.
Or am I
So, and I've had people say the reason they were doing all these things was because this dark entity made them do it.
Right.
My perspective is this. My perspective is, that's heavy energy. That's either you're struggling with mental health that you really do need to talk to therapists. And I'm not saying they're crazy. What I'm saying is it's just super, like some really harsh life happenings are weighing on them. And because of that, they've turned those things into an avatar of a dark entity. And so I've had them come to me and I'll start talking about it. And like I said, then that's when I realize, no, it's kind of a combination. You're getting someone coming to you to tell you to beware or guide you, but all of these fears and scary traumas and all the things, you're attaching that to you, because sometimes we just need it attached to something, right? And so I kind of call it an avatar.
So, spirits, yes. Dark entities, no. Evil spirits, also no. No spirit is evil.
I don't
That's
think so.
fantasy.
I don't believe so.
Maybe misguided.
Yep.
That's something I can get behind.
I think it's what we apply to them.
Yeah. It reminds me a lot. Okay, I have a question. What is the show that relates to mediums, spiritual advisors, and so on? The TV show that you think is the most accurate representation of what you do?
Wow, because I don't watch a lot of TV, but I would say John Edwards is a good one, because he he's authentic. He's just this dude that just happens to have this, like the way he came about is as similar as I.
Mhm.
And I think he's probably the one I respect the most. There's a guy on YouTube, I can't remember his name, is Charlie.
Oh, I think that I want to hear that. I think you misunderstood my question. Like
Oh,
I'm talking
okay.
about like a TV series, fictional TV show with a character,
Okay.
not a.
I'm sorry. Okay. So, I'm trying to remember the name of the show where was it Ghost, maybe?
Ghost.
Ghost Whisperer
Yeah,
with Jennifer
Jennifer.
Love Hewitt.
Yes.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking as well. That's what I asked.
That would be
Because it
the
reminds me of that.
closest I could get. Yeah, probably just because of the way she got her information. For
The
all
reason is like some, it's a show for entertainment, obviously. There were some dark entities, but overwhelmingly it was just spirits trying to find their way back, in a way, and sometimes misguided.
Yeah, and I've had like my brother-in-law we lost him in a car accident, and my sister was told by somebody that, oh, he's stuck on the side of the road, his spirit's stuck there, and all that. That's not how it happens. That's just not.
Yeah, that's very strange.
Um,
Yeah,
so everyone is on the other side when they leave.
cool. That's also comforting.
Yeah.
So, resonance, this is your topic, right?
Yeah.
I fully believe in resonance. I think that it's much harder for us to pick up on, but we are, in essence, the functioning of our personality, ego, higher self, everything that happens within this body is a function of electromagnetism, which is directly affected by the things around it.
Yeah. There's that
So,
scientific element.
yeah, exactly. And I don't know that it's measurable necessarily, but I even if it's not, this is where my faith comes in. That's what
Yeah.
I think people just don't know how to be in tune with it. It's still such like an abstract concept. Like, you know, we can't see radio waves, but we accept them.
yeah.
But it's so hard to really understand this idea of resonance. And maybe it's because we don't have the capacity, I don't have the capacity to, see it, hear it, feel it, and use it as a tool.
Yeah.
Because I think what people want, and I think this might be the ego, because I'm learning from Diane, we want power, we want control, kind of like superpowers, and
Yeah.
that's bad.
It's not like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's much more subtle, I think.
Yeah, and I think for me, in terms of reading people's energy, and and I believe anyone who really comes from like, I don't want to say traumatic lives, but you go through a lot of stuff in life. And especially if you have anyone who, substance abuse or just abuse of any kind, if you're around people like that, you're very alert because of you never know what they're going to do from one minute to the next, right? And their inconsistencies. So you start to kind of pick up on energy and like, okay, I feel like they walked in the house and oh, I can feel that. I learned over years to just pick up on that stuff and really learn that, oh, when I feel this, that person acts like this or is this. And so then I just started intuitively just started using it. Like I wasn't taught any of
Yeah.
this. This is all over the years. And that's because I've been put in so many different places, different jobs and stuff that I've just been able to collect the ability, and then school classes help me hone it. But I believe everybody has this ability.
That was your original perspective. Everybody is as intuitive as you are.
I believe that too, because I told you, I don't know, a couple weeks ago we were out eating, and I told you about, I went to a psychic and he told me the same concept, that like I have this.
We're going to tell that story.
what's to tell, really? That's it's it. I just summarized it. You mean the story about how he predicted meeting you?
Yes.
And I did not know that. Okay. Well, I went to, more than 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, I went to, I like going to psychics and mediums back home. I like doing that, so I went often. And one of them, when I was young, he said, when you're older, you're going to meet a man. And he read playing cards.
Yeah.
And so he chose, like, it was like, I don't know, a queen or a jack something. And he said, like, this is a man you're going to meet, but he doesn't want to be a man. He's got blue eyes. He likes to dress as a woman. His name, it starts with a J. And
Don't say that name.
I won't say that name, but it's Ruby's name.
Yeah, it's my name.
And I went through life meeting all these, like, men with J's and having the same kinds of, like, appearance and stuff. But I was like, oh, is this the guy? But, it never really kind of fit until Ruby. But aside from that, this same medium told me, you have this intuition. Everyone has it, and they should, like, hone it. But he specifically told me I should practice it. But it was just, too overwhelming to even consider doing. But yeah, that's what that reminds me of.
Can I mention? You were talking about earlier, how did we talk about this? About how do you know when you, like, hear your inner voice versus ego or something, I would think.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, how'd you know it was her?
I don't really know it's her, but I mean, everything
No, but you do.
aligns with what he said. It's so, I don't want to say
But
it's so
versus
perfect,
the
but it's just
others
so,
you
it's
met.
versus the what?
The others you met over the time.
Oh, well, because they didn't do things like, they didn't dress as women. They didn't do drag. Their beliefs were different. So obviously Ruby's transgender, but, these other people I met, are staunchly against transgender. So, and so that's why for years I was always kind of like, well, could this be the person? Like, there's some things that the medium said that aligns with that. Maybe it's them. But then it just dawned on me only recently, really, that I consider it.
Dawning on you is what I was trying to get you to get
Okay.
that moment. Excuse me, because that's the feeling I'm talking about when you connect to, like, you may not think of it as that, but it is that feeling when you connect to your
Right.
higher self and get the guidance and understand, like, that aha moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Yay.
Yeah. It's really cool. And I don't think you told anyone before that story, right? So now
I never told anybody that.
Now that you've told me, it's kind of sealed. I think it's over. The prophecy is done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I could still
Well, and
go
if
back
you don't-
home to their
still
house
true.
and look in all my old little notes and find that, because I would go to the mediums and I would take notes as they're telling me. I'll try. I'll see if it still exists.
I will.
You can frame it, okay?
That would be cool. I mean, what a full circle moment. And that's awesome.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I remember the first time I actually, because I've been cross-dressing for a very long time, but secretly. And then I was like, okay, it's Halloween. And I'm just gonna wear a wig because I don't like wearing silly Halloween costumes. The thing that drives me always has been, how do you do something authentically? And it's actually something that held me back from being authentic for a long time, because I was like, I don't want to be a parody of a woman. That wouldn't be just that, like, in my mind. It needs to be, I don't know how to put it into words, an authentic experience, like, not a parody. And for the first time, so that's why I would never wear, like, a Pikachu costume, because I just think it's stupid. But but I got this like pretty realistic looking wig. And I just went to school in my normal school uniform, but I took my co-teacher's scarf. And then I was a girl. And she said,
God, did that feel
"Oh,
free?
you're dressing in drag. That's cool."
Did I say that?
Yeah, you did.
I don't remember this. I don't remember this at all. Was it this last year or last year?
The crickets, yeah.
I really don't remember.
Anyway.
Did I say it in like kind of like a...
No, we were already becoming friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would hope I wouldn't say it with any kind of like
No, it wasn't for mean spirit.
attitude. Yeah, mean spirit. Yeah. I really don't remember that. Maybe that's because for me it's just so acceptable and normal.
Yeah. For me, like, that was like, okay, cool. I started feeling much more comfortable just
Aww.
talking to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
That's great.
Yeah, it's a nice one, actually. I want to talk about threshold moments. So I think that I actually did a vlog about this a couple of days ago. I think everybody goes through threshold moments in their lives, something that they cannot go back from ever. What are your biggest threshold moments, do you think? Or what, if you don't want to answer that question, what do you think is a threshold moment that people have to go through in order to achieve something?
That's really tough.
Me, can't go back to, I left the business corporate world. And although that was a career, it was bigger than that for me. It was my identity because I was doing that since I was 17.
Yeah.
So when I left that, I literally remember walking out that office door going, I'll never come back to this. Like ever, like the world of corporate. I didn't know why I knew that. I just, in my heart of hearts, just knew I'm never going back to that world. So that for me was a big threshold moment. It has taken time though to accept that threshold moment. So I think that's another element of it all.
What is the thing that happened that made you go, I'll never come back to this? Is it just when you walked out of the building?
No, it was the 35 plus years of inauthenticity and having to live and abide in a certain world, knowing it wasn't honest, was hurting people. And in order to succeed, I would have to be like more of what I didn't want to be. And so,
Sure.
yeah, that, and now to think about going back, which I did actually a couple of years ago, and had an interview lined up, and I just couldn't do it. My body and everything, the energy with it, I was like, nah, can't go back.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm
I don't know if
sensitive
I have
now
any, to be
because of the
honest.
energy.
I feel like I can always go back to things. Like a threshold moment for me, something that impacted me greatly, I think, was, and this might sound really cliche, but like the selling of my childhood home. So I really didn't want my mother to sell our childhood home. I wanted her to stay there forever. Because it was just, I guess it was maybe so comfortable. But in retrospect, I don't think obviously it was a good thing because it really, that's what pushed me to go overseas, which sounds really strange, but I think that was finally a good excuse to say, okay, time to go, because my whole family had just like left the city that we were all in at that time.
Wow.
So there was no point for me staying there. And I always wanted to work overseas. So I thought, okay, I'm making it sound more positive than it is. It was pretty traumatic for me. It was scary, but yes, I did it. And now the funny thing is all of my family has moved back to the same city. So, it all worked out, but we still don't, like, our childhood home is not our childhood home. My mother has a new home. I can still walk on my old street and like, I still look at my old childhood home. And I don't know if I envy the people there, but there's definitely some kind of like, what's the word? I don't
Nostalgia?
know. Yeah, nostalgia. That's good. That's a good one for it. So I guess that's,
Yeah.
the threshold moment I can think of.
Selling of your family. It changed you as a person.
It did, because I really, like, growing up, in my hometown, I felt like my peers thought my hometown wasn't cool, and they wanted to go and see the world and be in more cosmopolitan places. But me, I thought, this is enough. So having to leave it was really painful. I didn't want to. I was just so used to that comfort, and I felt safe.
It's hard for me to relate to.
Yeah, no, I believe it's hard for a lot of people to relate to. Like I said, it sounds really like cliche and kind of campy.
No, I don't think it's cliche or campy at all. I have like deep empathy for that. And I wish that I could have a threshold moment like that. But I never cared about any place that I lived in.
That's not a bad thing, though.
I think it is. I think it's good because I never felt like this is where I belong. Like,
home is where the heart is.
yeah, sure. I miss, if I go to South Africa now, I miss China. This is my home now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's my home in as so much as the people that I love are here.
Yeah.
Obviously I love my family too.
Sure.
But there's a disconnect in experience and understanding in a little bit.
Right.
That I think is absent in South Africa. Like this conservative state, and culture, and very kind of structured. It's very limited because in South Africa you can't, at 6 p.m. everything shuts down. Nobody's on the roads anymore because it's not safe. You can't go have a beer anywhere. And I mean, I don't drink a lot.
Yeah.
But when I want to be able to go out at 1 a.m. and do that. Like, why does it matter when you are allowed to do anything? And I think that kind of, obviously that's not a threshold moment at all. My threshold moment was, the one that changed my life the most was, there are a few factors here. Now I'm going to bring this all back to being trans, being one of those people. Started cross-dressing during COVID, actually. More and more. And then, when I moved to this job, finally, all of my like financial issues were solved. And so no more debt, savings, some expendable cash. And I was like, now I can do justice to cross-dressing.
Right.
Like, it's going to be good. And I can go through all of these like tests and make sure that it looks good. And I had the best time, but I would not have told anybody. I wouldn't have, if somebody said, "Are you transgender?" I would be like, no way, not me. I was subconsciously looking, I was conscious of the fact that I was doing this, but in complete denial of the fact that I was doing it, walking through pharmacies, looking for misplaced pill boxes that had high levels of estrogen because none of them are OTC. And then I met a guardian angel on a website.
Okay.
And I was like, I read your story.
Right.
How did you do this? She transitioned during COVID. She's British. And she's like, this is someone you can contact. And I was able to get a box of pills. My threshold moment was going to the delivery station, picking up my box, opening it up, and taking out a box of bioidentical estrogen. And it was like a lightning rod moment. Boom. There was no way I was going to put it back ever. It was like this is the thing. If anybody had given me that box at any time before in my life, it would have been the same thing. That was my threshold moment.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where did your threshold moment, so you don't have to answer this, but it's just a thought process, where did those take us? Look where we are. Look what you're doing. Look who you are. those
Yeah.
threshold moments are kind of
Point. Very true.
Yeah.
jump off point.
They're like catapults into the
Mhm.
future. Embrace your threshold moments if you find a moment like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think there are also threshold concepts.
What do you mean?
Like if you understand, once you start being able to, it's kind of like the idea of Theseus' ship.
Okay.
You can be afraid of changing parts of your personality in your life because you're afraid that you will lose your life.
Yes. Yeah.
But once you make peace with the idea that your ship is intrinsically the same ship as what the captain is on,
Mm-hmm.
if you take this captain onto another ship, that other ship is now the captain's ship. It's still you.
Oh.
It's still your ship. It doesn't matter how much you change the ship.
Yes.
It's still your life.
Yeah. Is that the higher self?
I think that the captain is a higher self in a way, yeah. And the ego is the ship.
Ego is the ship.
Yeah, could be. I have to break that one down. That's big.
However you want to do it. I wrote a poem about this. It's called The Nameless Ship. It's on my Instagram. You can go and check it out.
Okay.
Love it. I love the concept.
Good analogy. Does the higher self controls the ego? Or they're separate and the ego is just
They're
something that gets in the
separate.
way?
Yeah. The ego, to me, the ego is the human side. Because ego doesn't mean bad. Doesn't mean like, oh, look at me. It is like I remember when I did my first reading and I felt bad about something and my instructor said, get the ego out of the way. So it's not, and I'm like, what do you mean? That's not ego. I'm just trying to be nice. And she's like, that's ego. And it is. It's all of
Yeah.
that. It's with our higher selves. Our higher selves are the most honest parts of us, but the ego is the one that is kind of the shapeshifter, right? Like changes for however and then judges and makes all of that. So I don't know. That's just, to me, they're just separate, but yet connected.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Yeah. Maybe the ship is not the ego. The ship is the life. Maybe the captain is the ego and the higher self is the orders or the destination.
I don't know, we
Whatever.
have to refine this.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Deeper.
Yeah.
Well, there's a duality there, so I think that's the thing we need to at least acknowledge between higher self and ego. Yeah.
For sure. Are there any other questions?
Nope. I'm done. Maybe I'm not. I mean, I can always ask questions, but
Well, I appreciate you guys allowing me to spend time with you guys. I really enjoyed our conversation. It's so loose, it's fun. You guys are easy to talk to, and I love that you're so open because then it allows me to give and share. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you so much for coming onto the podcast.
yeah.
Yeah, I love
It's
it.
been super lovely.
I'm always so, I don't want to say worried. I'll say skeptical of our podcast that like we're not going to have things to talk about, but so far it hasn't happened yet.
Never happened.
I don't know where Ruby finds everybody, but she delivers. I love it. This is great.
My higher self is busy scouting while I dream.
Yeah. I was really excited about that.
Self is really.
Diane Reiser, your Substack is Trust Issues by Diane, and your company is Oak and Tusk Guidance, where you will take on clients for spiritual advisory, help with your skills as a medium and an intuitive empath. My name is...
And I have a group.
What kind of classes do you teach?
Teach card reading classes. Everything I teach is about using your intuition. So I teach, and everything's virtual, but card reading, so oracle or any card that has pictures on it, really. I don't do the playing cards. My mother-in-law used to do that, though. So it was funny, Luigi, you mentioned
Oh.
that.
Yeah, I honestly, to me, when I saw it, I thought, what a strange thing to use playing cards.
It's a gift. Like that's a real talent. But so I teach
Yeah.
card reading, and I also teach what I call intuitive class, and so it's
Mhm.
about connecting to your intuition, and through that, people are often able to find that they can do readings too. And I have people by the end of all classes, they're doing reading.
That is so cool. I'm going to ask you
Evidence-based.
about your mother-in-law reading with cards when I come onto your podcast on the 22nd, for sure.
Well, there won't be much. I
Okay.
never had her do it because she did it before I knew that, and she passed. So I never got a chance
Oh.
doing this work. Like I was in corporate when she left. I do get her energy this way, but I might be able to connect to her and get some answers. But yeah, I don't know a lot on this side about how that worked with her.
Okay, I have one last question. It'll be quick. So I was talking to Ruby about this earlier before the show. We were talking about cards, and I was showing her, I like card reading and tarot cards and things like that. Now, do you think that the card matters? Because I know there are some people who think like if your tarot card is not the standard tarot card side, let's say, or it's not good, it doesn't count. Or do you think you can use anything? It just depends on your intuition and your energy and how you attune yourself with it and use it as a tool.
Yes. So, um, tarot card readers, people who are specific to tarot, like that is
Yeah.
that's an intuitive thing, but also like that's a skill set. Like that's something they studied and really. So there's different types of readers. So that is a skill set they use all the above to do. But what I like someone like myself, it does not matter because
Yeah.
I read intuitively. So I'll just give you a really quick example is like when I look at a card, so this I want to get you colorful ones. Yeah. When you look at a card, there's all kinds of things on the card, right? But when I
Yeah.
read, what will happen is certain things will pop out to me, and those certain things have different meanings. So, like her butterfly wings, depending on who's in front of me and what energy I'm picking up, that might represent transition. It might represent growth. It could different things. I might pick up on the color, which is different chakra colors. I might go, oh, you know, you might be feeling something here. Let's dig into that. So that's how I work. And again, we're all different. And what's so beautiful is I've had clients come to me and they're funny because they'll be like, so I went and saw a different psychic or I went and saw a different cool. Because
Yeah.
you get different perspectives. And honestly, the ones that are authentic readers will often be like the messaging will be the same as what I get. Maybe worded different or picked up different, but the messaging is the messaging. Your guidance is your guidance. It's not going to change.
Yeah.
The delivery person might, but if they're authentically reading, then you'll always get pretty much the same information. So I think it's a yes and no answer to your question. Depends on the person.
Okay. That medium I went to a long time ago that, told me about Ruby. Not only did he read just like plain playing cards, he also had this canister of tongue depressors and he drew a picture on each end of the tongue depressor. And he read that as well. So he made me pick a certain number out and they laid them out like another kind of card. So
Yeah.
he definitely had his own.
The message will come through. I have a friend in the UK. She makes her own cards.
Yeah.
I have a woman that did a reading for me years and years ago who was the one who said I would probably be doing this someday. She just used she had a bag of crystals and
Right.
she would just pull, depending on what the
Sounds like
crystals
this
were
guy
that she pulled
can
out,
mute
for
herself.
her had
She's not
different
connected.
meanings. And those meetings were, and her reading was beautiful. Oh, my goodness.
Right.
Gonna echo. Okay.
I'm still
Echoing
here.
really bad.
Ruby disappeared.
I'll be back in a second.
She'll be back in a second.
Okay. I think that went away. Okay. So that's what that is. So different people can read
Yeah.
different things based on it's intuitive.
So then how can we develop our intuition?
Practices. And so like with someone like taking classes, like I would love to have you join me in my class if you'd like to. But through classes and things that we do. I'll give you just a few things that will help. Sitting in a room or wherever, sitting anywhere and either just observing and taking in and not just watching, but you might tell a story and you just kind of pick up what's going on, right? So you're picking up all the nuances. You might not think it's much, but your brain is collecting data. Another thing I will do with my client or my students is I will have them just sit and feel what they feel and write it down. So don't think about it, just feel what you feel. And I'll maybe do 30 seconds or a minute and then they just write it all down. Oftentimes that feeling will connect to something else. But what I'm doing is I'm having them learn to feel vibrations and the minutia of it. And so I would have them go out and listening. Like you might hear a truck way off in the distance. So listen, can you think about where they're at and what that road looks like and just kind of start collecting data. And it tunes you really high. And also like people can easily pick up on tones of voices and stuff because when you tune your ears, it's like accents, right? If you talk to somebody with different accents, it takes a little bit for your ears to tune in and then you can understand them perfectly. They can talk as fast as they want because your ears are tuned into them. So it's the same thing. I teach to tune into it. And then every week we meet, there's another layer. But it's all about it's just honing what you already have. It's actually an easy job.
I'm going to close the podcast here. I think it's a great spot. I'd like for you just to stay on the line after I stop the recording, if that's okay. Just make sure everything uploads okay. I'm Diane, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. I'm Ruby Radio. You can find me at Fire from Heat on Instagram, Heat from Fire on TikTok, and Ray Liu on YouTube. You can listen to this podcast at rss.com/kaleidoscope-pod1.
I'm Luigi. I live in a drawer.
Great.
I come out whenever Ruby needs me.
Thank you, guys.